It is my pleasure to introduce everyone to Paul Edwards and the Truth Plan LLC. Paul has owned and operated his own businesses for the past 37 years. Paul founded the Truth Plan LLC in the year 2021. The Truth Plan LLC's primary areas of focus are book publishing, membership subscriptions, economic development, and sales of stylish, affordable apparel. Paul Edwards is set to publish the book, which he authored and titled The Truth Plan. The Truth Plan is a plan to address, in a meaningful way, the many problems and issues facing the average American citizen and resident today. They range from diseases, justice for the poor and middle class, racism, broken families, homelessness, lack of health care, mental illness, unemployment, limited upward mobility on the job for some, lack of affordable housing, lack of quality education for many, limited resources for Black and brown small business owners, crime, misrepresentations by some in the media, illegal drugs, rising prices for goods and services, gas prices over the long haul, pollution, limited credit availability for Black and brown home buyers, infrastructure, and just simply realizing the American dream. Allowing these problems and many more to continue will only serve to further create a sense of despair and the feeling that things will never change. Many Americans facing these problems fight them for as long as they can and then turn to crutches for help. Alcohol and drug use sometimes provide for many people a temporary escape from these issues. Some go into deep depression, leading to severe mental illness, and many commit suicide. It is fair to say that these problems are experienced across gender and ethnic lines. However, the poor, the African American, the African Caribbean Americans, the Hispanic, the Latino American communities, and the low and middle income communities in general are most affected. As a matter of fact, these problems continue to keep the poor from obtaining the American dream, and in most cases just living a stress-free life. If these problems are not addressed in a meaningful way, many Americans will continue to live a less than quality life, and to say the least, many will continue to suffer. The American people and our domestic problems must not be ignored. Too many Americans are living in pain day to day. What is most saddening about this is that many Americans have come to think that living with this pain is a normal part of life. The Truth Plan is a self-help plan. Please read this book to find out how to eliminate the racial, wealth, and equity gap that exists between the low income, the middle income, the Black and brown communities, and the higher income community. The Truth Plan shows us how to help to eliminate the inequities in affordable housing, unemployment, healthcare, education, the media, small businesses, access to capital, and much more. The Truth Plan also shows us how the elimination of these inequities also benefits the higher income community. The goals and objectives for equity are crucial in addressing the disparities that exist in our society. A primary focus must be on eliminating the racial, wealth, and equity gaps that disproportionately affect low-income and minority communities. This involves a comprehensive approach that includes ensuring access to affordable housing, improving employment opportunities, and enhancing healthcare access for underrepresented groups. By prioritizing these areas, we can create a more equitable foundation for all individuals, regardless of their background or economic status. In an effort to address the healthcare inequities that exists in certain communities, and to help to arm people of all communities with the much-needed knowledge of how to stay healthier longer in life, and how to recognize the warning signs, Paul has created his Get Fit, Stay Fit, Never Too Late video podcast. Paul has also created his Sports Dialogue video podcast in an effort to encourage members of the low-income communities, the minority communities, and all communities to understand the positive role of exercise and sports in our communities across the country and worldwide. In an effort to encourage people to exercise, Paul also posts weekly videos of himself exercising. Both video podcasts will be introduced to you in this video. Please make sure to buy this book. We can implement this plan together. The success of the Truth Plan will create current and future positive change in all communities for generations to come. God bless.
The goal of the podcast is to provide a platform where members of the medical community and the healthcare community in general can interact with the general public in an environment that is outside of the doctor's office and the hospital. Our podcasts will focus on what are the preventive measures that the general public can take in order to give themselves an opportunity to live a longer, healthier, and the best quality of life that is possible. We will also focus on informing the general public on how to identify warning signs and what to do when we recognize the warning signs. Early determination of illnesses provides the best opportunity for recovery and may require less costly medical procedures. A healthier public is in the best interest of everyone. People will live longer and better quality of life. The pocketbooks of the patients and the medical insurance providers should also see a reduction in expenditures. Healthier people generally require less costly medical procedures. Get fit, stay fit, never too late. God bless.
And glaucoma is the second leading cause of blindness in the world, according to the World Health Organization. So why don't you tell the audience what is glaucoma? Let's start with that.
Well, glaucoma is a disease that increases the pressure in the eye, and it affects the optic nerve in the back of the eye. When the optic nerve is affected in the back of the eye, your peripheral vision starts to shrink. So that's why we call it the sneaky thief of sight, because we're all looking straight ahead, okay? And we don't really notice so much that the periphery is decreasing, partly because we have two eyes, and so one eye will compensate for the other. So you can have like end stage pinhole vision, straight ahead without knowing that your peripheral vision was decreased.
And what causes glaucoma?
Again, genetics. I'd say 2% of the general population does have glaucoma. It's increased in Afro-American people, and also family history.
Mammogram, HPV, STI, and vaccines do you recommend? And how often and when, at what ages should they start? Just in general, what would your guidance be?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because screening is meant to find out any health issues you have that you may not know because they tend to be silent, right? And sort of preventive. We know when you get into vaccines, preventing disease that is preventable. I don't know that I could cover all of those things because that could take us hours, but I will say from a GYN perspective, young women should see a GYN or a primary care provider who has the skills to do GYN, starting at around age 21, somewhere between 21 and 25, because at that age, it's important to screen for sexually transmitted infections. It is recommended that all women that age who are sexually active are screened for chlamydia, for example. Chlamydia is a sexually transmitted infection that's very prevalent, and in women is often silent, but can lead to things like chronic pelvic pain and infertility. So we definitely want to do that test. And at that age, we want to start cervical cancer screening, which we used to call PEP tests. But now, more commonly, what we do is an HPV test, because human papillomavirus is the cause of most cervical
Paul
cancers.
Edwards encourages businesses, government, elected officials, church leaders, community leaders, philanthropic individuals, and organizations to sponsor these video podcasts and the weekly exercise videos. Healthier people are generally more productive and generally require less costly medical procedures. These video podcasts are a great way to demonstrate to your employees, church congregation, health insurance policy holders, the community that your healthcare organization serves, that you and your organizations care about their health. God bless.